Okay, so this is part 3 of the bench build. This will be the last video. Some of these segments are pretty long, but I was asked to do this by a couple of subscribers, and they asked specifically for more real-time footage, so I didn't want to time-lapse it or play it too fast, just so that they had at least close to a real time. This took quite a while to assemble, so I didn't want to play it in real time because it would have been a 2-hour video. So, but this was a good balance. So anyway, putting it together now. I did not get footage of that crisscross vise you can see there in the forward leg, but I do have footage of the chop, which was more or less the same way. And right here in that slow motion, I slowed that down so you could see there's a rabbit or a dado in the top underside. So I pre-dadoed for the dead man in the top. So before I ever assembled it, you can see it again right here. That dado, I just used a 3/4 inch end mill in my router and a guide, and dropped a nice 3/4 inch deep, or I'm sorry, 1.25 inch deep dado in the top for the tenon of the dead man to set into as it slides. So I could have tapped this together, but I prefer clamps. It's just smoother, it's less vibration and fatigue on everything. So I just like to pull it together with clamps. So, and again, these, even though these are I have paraffin wax on there, and this is a final fit. They're still tight. They take a little doing to get in there. So, and this is the first time I've assembled it. So I still have the tail vise, I still have the leg vise, and the infill to make, as well as my bench dog holes in the tail vise stock. So but I wanted to actually have the bench put together, actually be able to work on it and have it ready to go, so that those things could be fit based on the finished bench itself. So this is how I went about putting this together. Obviously, being one person, it's a very heavy bench. I set in that lower rail on the one side, and once that's in those dovetails, you can make it hold. It'll hold it up from falling over on you, and then set the other one. Once you get the bottom rail, once you get those dovetails locked in, nothing's moving. So it went pretty quickly after that. So this is just me hogging out the bench dog slots in the tail vise stock. I like to, in this case, I chose to drop cut mine and plunge out the meat. I already cut them at a 5-degree angle on the saw. So I'm just hogging out the bulk of the meat with the router real quick, and then I glued that together, which is how I formed the outer blank of the tail vise. And as I said in the first video, the original video, I'm probably going to redo that tail vise at some point. So I was using a German-made tail vise that I bought off of eBay. I had no instructions, and I actually couldn't find anything online for putting a tail vise together. So I had to kind of wing this as I went. So I'd like to have it inset further. I may end up going with like a Lee Nielsen tail vise hardware down the road, just because it's a little easier to deal with, and it gives me more meat on the outside of the table. So these bench dogs are a little close to the edge, but maybe I won't change it. I guess we'll see. It was only $50 for the one I bought, and the Lee Nielsen tail vise hardware, I want to say, is $150 or so dollars. So if this one keeps working fine, maybe I'll just leave it, but we'll see. So this is the chop that I'm mortising right now. So the now this entire platform I'm using the bench crafted tail vise setup. I don't know of another one on the market that is as well tuned as this one. So I did my research, and this was the one I wanted to go with. So remember, I had mentioned the leg. I don't have any footage of the leg mortise, but the leg mortise was literally the identical process that I'm doing here. So it's the same exact process. What I did here is I used I believe this is an 1.25" wide mortise, or 1.5" wide mortise. So I just hogged out the bulk of it with a Forstner bit, and now I'm cleaning out my mortise with the guide and the router. And like right here, I've finished the sides with the guide, and then I used the router freehand to just clean out the bottom and flatten it out. So, and this is for the crisscross. So your crisscross sits in there, the two wings fold up inside of there, and that's how you get that chop right up against the bench. So this is the hole for the nut on the device itself, and I am doing this freehand. They don't recommend doing it freehand, but I use a drill freehand constantly, so I'm pretty good at keeping it near perfect. So you can see I'm double checking with the square, but I had no trouble with that hole, and it really doesn't have to be exactly perfect, because it's just a hogged out hole. You can see coming up next, I'll mark the centers, and insert the threaded bolts that hold it in, and that actually holds it. So you're really just hogging the wood to get it out of the way. It's the screw, the vise screw doesn't actually touch the wood at all. So as long as the hole is reasonably straight, you'll be okay. So now I'm marking centers, pre-drilling, and tapping for the bench crafted threaded nuts that hold that head on. And here's the infill for the split top Roubo. I just went ahead and cut this with a circular saw. For my lines, it didn't need to be perfection, so I roughed it out, and with the router, finished up my mortises, got rid of all the material, and then I slabbed the two of them together and clamp it up and glue it, and that's pretty much it. So it's 1.25" thick, red oak infill, for no particular reason. I actually just happen to have the red oak, and as I've said before, it's a utility workbench for me. I wasn't looking for beauty. It's not going to be beautiful in 2 years, so that was that. Okay, so I'm editing the video right now for the last bench video. I just wanted to show the bench as it currently sits. So I just did a shop cleanup today, so the top's covered and stuff. But so essentially, you're an inch, you're 2 inches here, but you're an inch over here. So you have perfect adjustability. Anything you need to do, you can get that hold fast just right. So things I didn't photograph, film during the build. So the rail down here. So to hold your hold fast, this is nothing spectacular. I just pre-ripped a piece of 1.5-inch thick maple to a point, ripped it, smoothed it, and glued it down. I just clamped it right down, glued it. No fuss, no muss. Works great. Paraffin wax the rail here, and this baby slides like glass. The other detail is the one up here. So you can see I had to do some modifications on the nut. So that's my rail there. That's my maple rail that holds the trestles, the top two legs together. And you do have to play around a little bit. So this was painstaking and on the fly. So I didn't film it, but you know, it's pretty obvious what you're seeing there. So it's a notch for the nut, a notch for the nut there. And these are my through dovetails. So those are through. Now the dovetails, the little keys go in on the other side, but the reason I brought them through like this is if I need to disassemble the bench, I can put a length of wood in there and smack the dovetail out from inside the bench here to get it out. So that's how that works. Over here and show you. So that's the key. The other one's down there. And I think that's it. This is where she sits now. She's already showing signs of wear. I work on it pretty regularly, and I'm hard on it. So, holding up beautifully. Very happy with everything, and fixing to. You'll see a video coming up soon if you look at these babies. That's from a barrel ceiling I just did. So it's a barreled ceiling in both directions. I've personally seen barreled ceilings, but never vaulted in both directions. So look for that coming up. But anyway, that's her. That's where she sits. She works beautifully. I love this tail vise, or this chop. This leg vise is just really nice and quick for repetitive work. So anyway, thank you for watching, and see you soon.